Admiral Kefir stood on the bridge of his massive warship and looked at the small blue planet ahead. Earth hung in space like a simple marble, turning slowly in the darkness. The planet looked so peaceful and weak. His 4 eyes studied the readings on his screens. The humans down there had no idea what was coming. "Sir, we are picking up radio signals from the surface," said Science Officer Veltar. The young alien's green skin showed patches of excitement. This was his first invasion. "The creatures down there are using very basic technology. Metal flying, machines, and simple energy broadcasts." Kefir clicked his mandibles in what his species considered laughter. Perfect. This should be over quickly. He had conquered 12 worlds for the Zephyrian hegemony. This primitive rock would be number 13. The invasion fleet was huge. 200 ships filled with the best soldiers in the galaxy. Each ship carried weapons that could level mountains. The humans had nothing that could even scratch their hulls. Down on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison was drinking coffee in his office at Camp Pendleton when the alarm started going off. The sound made him jump and spill hot coffee on his uniform. He ran outside and looked up at the sky. "What the hell is that?" he whispered. Dark shapes were moving between the clouds. They were too big to be planes and too quiet to be helicopters. More shapes appeared, then more. The sky filled with alien ships that blocked out the sun. Morrison grabbed his radio. "All units, this is not a drill. We have unknown aircraft over the base. I repeat, this is not a drill." In Atlanta, Dr. Lisa Stone was working late in her lab when her phone started ringing. She picked it up without looking at the caller. "Lisa, you need to turn on the news right now," said her assistant. "Something huge is happening." Stone turned on the television. Every channel showed the same thing. Massive alien ships floating over every major city on Earth. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. They were everywhere. "My God," she breathed. At NORAD, Commander Ryan Beck watched his screens fill with contacts that should not exist. Hundreds of objects had appeared in Earth's atmosphere without any warning. They gave off no heat signature. They made no sound. But they were there. "Sir, we're getting calls from every military base on the planet," said his communications officer. "These things are everywhere." Beck picked up the red phone that connected directly to the Pentagon. "Sir, we have a situation." Back in space, Admiral Kefir was pleased with how smoothly everything was going. His ships had taken position over every major human settlement. The creatures below were running around like frightened insects. "Begin transmission," he ordered. Massive hologram appeared over every human city. Kefir's image filled the sky. He was 7 feet tall with 4 arms and skin like gray leather. His teeth were sharp and his eyes glowed red. Primitive creatures of Earth. His voice boomed in perfect English. His ship's computers had learned human language in minutes. "I am Admiral Kefir of the Zephyrian hegemony. Your world now belongs to us. You have 1 day to surrender completely. Lay down your weapons and prepare for occupation. Resistance is pointless. We have conquered worlds far more advanced than yours." The transmission ended. Kefir expected panic and quick surrender. That's what always happened. But something strange occurred instead. In Washington, the president was in an emergency meeting when the alien message ended. The room was quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. "How many ships?" the president asked. "At least 200, sir," said the Secretary of Defense. "What are our options?" "We fight," said General Patricia Hayes. "That's what we do." The president looked around the room. Every face showed the same expression. Not fear, not panic. Determination. "Then we fight," the president said. Similar meetings were happening in every country on Earth. The Chinese premier gave the same order. The Russian president said the same words. The British Prime Minister, the French president, the leaders of every nation on the planet all reached the same conclusion. They would fight. Captain Morrison was briefing his Marines when the alien message played. 200 tough soldiers watched the 7-foot alien make his demands. When it ended, Morrison expected questions. Maybe fear. Instead, Sergeant Pete Rodriguez raised his hand. Sir, when do we start shooting? The room erupted in agreement. These Marines had trained their entire lives to fight. They didn't care if the enemy was human or alien. An enemy was an enemy. On his ship, Science Officer Veltar was studying the human response. Sir, this is strange. We're not detecting mass panic or preparation for surrender. What are we detecting? Kefir asked. Military mobilization. Every human army is moving to battle positions. Their leaders are making speeches about resistance and victory. Kefir was confused, but they saw our ships. They saw our weapons. How can they think they can win? I don't know, sir. Maybe they don't understand how hopeless their situation is. Dr. Stone was in another emergency meeting with government scientists. They were trying to understand the alien technology. The ship seemed to be using some kind of gravity manipulation, said Dr. Nathan Gray from MIT. But the energy readings are off the charts. Can we fight them? Asked the general. I don't know, Gray admitted, but we have to try. Stone looked at the data on her screen. The ships were huge and obviously advanced, but humans had always found ways to fight bigger. Enemies. David beat Goliath. The colonists beat the British Empire. The Allies beat the Nazis. We'll figure something out, she said. We always do. Commander Beck was coordinating with military leaders around the world. Every air force was preparing for battle. Every navy was moving to position. Every army was ready to fight. Sir, shouldn't we try to negotiate? Asked a young officer. Beck looked at him like he was crazy. Son, they just told us to surrender. Or die. That's not negotiation. That's a declaration of war. Admiral Kefir waited for the human response. He expected messages of surrender. Pleas for mercy. Offers of cooperation. Instead, his communications officer looked up with confusion. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human governments. Play it, Kefir ordered. The message was simple and came from every human leader at the same time. It was just 3 words, but they sent a chill through every alien on every ship. Come and take it. Kefir stared at the screen. In his long military career, he had never heard such a response. Usually primitive species begged for their lives or offered tribute. These humans were different. They were declaring war on the most powerful military force in the galaxy, and they seemed happy about it. The first battle started at dawn over Tokyo. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Davis led her squadron of F-22 fighters straight into a formation of alien ships. The aliens expected the primitive human aircraft to bounce harmlessly off their shields. They were wrong. Davis fired her missiles at point-blank range, ramming her fighter directly into an alien ship's weapon port. The explosion took out both her plane and the enemy vessel. Her wingman, Captain Tony Martinez, followed her example and crashed his burning fighter into another alien ship. What are they doing? Science Officer Veltar shouted on the alien flagship. They're destroying themselves to damage us. Admiral Kefir watched in horror as human pilots flew suicide missions against his fleet. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen anything like it. Civilized species valued their lives. They tried to minimize casualties. These humans seemed to view death as just another weapon. Sir, we've lost 8 ships over Tokyo alone, reported his tactical officer. How is that possible? Their weapons can barely scratch our hulls. They're not using their weapons, sir. They're using their entire aircraft as missiles. And somehow, they're hitting our weak points every time. On the ground, Captain Jake Morrison was leading his Marines in an assault on an alien landing site. The aliens had superior weapons and armor, but they had made a crucial mistake. They fought like civilized beings. The Marines fought like humans. Peterson, flank left and hit them with a rocket launcher, Morrison ordered. Rodriguez, take your squad around the back. Williams, you're with me. We're going straight up the middle. Sergeant Pete Williams grinned as he checked his rifle. Just like Afghanistan, sir. Except these guys are uglier. The Marines attacked from 3 directions. At once, when the aliens tried to respond to one threat, another hit them from behind. When they adapted to human tactics, the humans changed their approach. The aliens had never faced an enemy that was constantly evolving their strategy in the middle of battle. In Europe, Sergeant Pete Williams was learning something interesting about alien technology. The invaders had energy shields that could stop bullets and explosives, but they couldn't stop everything. Hey, Mike, Williams called to his squad mate. Remember those fire arrows we saw in that medieval movie? Corporal Mike Stone looked confused. Yeah, why? Help me tie these road flares to some arrows. 10 minutes later, Williams was shooting flaming arrows at alien equipment. The energy shields stopped the arrows, but they couldn't stop the fire. That spread when the flares broke. Soon, half the alien base was burning. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, said Stone. It's so stupid it shouldn't work. But it is working, Williams pointed out as aliens ran around trying to put out fires. At MIT, Dr. Nathan Gray was having the best day of his scientific career. His team had captured an alien weapon and was taking it apart to see how it worked. This is incredible, he told his assistant, Dr. Sarah Kim. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours, but it's built like they never expected anyone to try to break it. What do you mean? Kim asked. Look at this energy cell. It's incredibly advanced, but there's no security, no encryption. It's like they never imagined someone might try to reverse engineer it. Gray held up a small device he had built. I've connected their power source to one of our radios. If this works, we should be able to listen to their communications. The device crackled to life. Alien voices filled the lab, speaking in panicked tones. They're scared, Kim said in amazement. The aliens are actually scared of us. In Washington, Director Helen Ross was coordinating the global intelligence response. The CIA had been tracking alien movements for 12 hours, and the picture they were building was strange. Ma'am, the aliens are making basic tactical mistakes, reported Agent Dan Clark. They're grouping their forces in predictable patterns. They're not adapting to our guerrilla tactics. It's like they've never fought an irregular war. Ross studied the reports coming in from around the world. Everywhere, human forces were using tactics that seemed to confuse the aliens. Ambushes, hit-and-run attacks, psychological warfare. All things that humans had been doing for thousands of years. They don't understand us, she realized. They've probably conquered civilized species that fight fair. They don't know how to deal with an enemy that doesn't follow the rules. On his flagship, Admiral Kefir was receiving reports that made no sense. His forces were losing ground to an enemy that should have been defeated in hours. Sir, the humans are using fire as a weapon, reported one ground commander. Actual fire. They're burning our equipment with primitive torches. That's impossible, Kefir said. Our shields stop all energy weapons, not heat, sir. The shields don't stop heat. The humans figured that out somehow. Another report came in. Admiral, human aircraft are ramming our ships. They're not even trying to survive. They just crash into us and explode. Kefir felt something he had never experienced in battle. Fear. These humans fought like mad creatures. They used tactics that no civilized being would consider. They turned their own deaths into weapons. Sir, Science Officer Valtar interrupted his thoughts. I'm detecting something strange in the human transmissions. What kind of strange? They're laughing, sir. In the middle of combat, they're making jokes and laughing. Kefir pulled up the human radio channels. Valtar was right. In between tactical orders and casualty reports, the humans were making jokes about the aliens. Big Ugly with forearms down, came one transmission. Someone tell him this isn't a hug contest. Nice shot, Martinez. That alien's having a really bad day. Hey, Rodriguez, your mom's uglier than these things. My mom could probably take these guys. More laughter filled the channel. Kefir couldn't understand it. How could a species laugh? While fighting for their lives? How could they joke about death and destruction? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Lisa Stone was studying alien biology samples when she made a connection. That's it, she whispered to herself. They're not like us at all. She called an emergency meeting with military leaders. I've been analyzing alien tissue samples. These beings evolved on a world with much lower gravity and a controlled environment. Look at their bone density, their muscle structure. They're physically weaker than humans. General Patricia Hayes looked at the data. Are you saying we're stronger than they are? Much stronger. But that's not the important part. Look at their neural patterns. These aliens have been bred for obedience and order. They probably haven't fought a real war in generations. They're used to conquering species that surrender quickly. And we're not, Hayes said with a grim smile. We're the opposite. Humans evolved fighting each other. We've been at war for our entire history. We know how to fight dirty. We know how to survive impossible odds. And most importantly, we know how to never give up. The truth was spreading through the human military. The aliens weren't gods. They were just another enemy. And humans knew how to deal with enemies. Captain Ben Clark led his Navy SEAL team in a night raid on an alien command post. They moved through the darkness like ghosts, using skills learned in dozens of Earth conflicts. Remember, Clark whispered to his team, these guys can see in the dark, but they're not used to being hunted. We are. The SEALs struck without warning. They used knives instead of guns to stay silent. They hit the aliens from directions that their technology couldn't detect. In 15 minutes, they had destroyed the command post and disappeared back into the night. The aliens never even saw them coming. By the end of the first day, Admiral Kefir had lost 30 ships and hundreds of ground troops. His advanced weapons and superior technology had barely made a difference. The humans kept finding new ways to hurt his forces. Sir, Valtar said quietly, maybe we should request reinforcements. Kefir looked at the tactical display. Rigged? Marks showed human attacks all over the planet. His mighty invasion fleet was being torn apart by an enemy that shouldn't have been able to fight back. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Kefir sent a message to his homeworld, asking for help. Dr. Alex Turner was having trouble believing his own research. The evolutionary biologist had been studying captured alien samples for 3 days, and the results were impossible. He ran the tests again, then again. The answer was always the same. This can't be right, he muttered, staring at his computer screen. His assistant, Dr. Rachel Kim, looked over his shoulder. What's wrong? According to this data, these aliens evolved on a world with half Earth's gravity. Their atmosphere has 30% more oxygen than ours. The radiation levels on their home planet are almost zero. Turner shook his head. They're not adapted for harsh conditions at all. So that means Earth is actually more dangerous than their home world. Much more dangerous. Kim frowned. But they have spaceships and energy weapons. How can our planet be more dangerous? Turner pulled up another screen. Look at this. Human bone density is 3 times higher than theirs. Our muscle fibers are denser. Our immune systems are more aggressive. Even our reflexes are faster. You're saying we're physically superior? I'm saying we evolved in hell, and they evolved in paradise. Across the planet, the aliens were discovering this truth the hard way. Chief Engineer Zarthik was in the medical bay of his ship, watching his crew die from mysterious illnesses. What's happening to them? He asked the ship's doctor. Unknown pathogens, sir. The crew started getting sick after our first ground mission. Their immune systems are failing. Zarthik looked at the readings, but we scanned for dangerous organisms. The planet showed minimal biological threats. That's just it, sir. These aren't dangerous to the humans. They're normal Earth bacteria. The same germs that humans live with every day are killing our people. The truth was devastating. What humans considered normal air was full of microorganisms that the alien immune systems couldn't handle. Earth's safe environment was actually a biological weapon. On the ground, Captain Ben Clark was leading another night mission when he noticed something strange. The aliens were moving slower than before. They seemed tired and weak. Sir, whispered Sergeant Tom Davis. Look at that. An alien soldier was leaning against a tree, breathing heavily. Even with his advanced armor, he looked exhausted. The gravity, Clark realized. Earth's gravity is wearing them out. Clark was right. What felt normal to humans was like walking underwater for the aliens. Every step took extra effort. Every movement was a struggle. They were fighting in conditions that would be torture for their species. General Karen Price was in the Pentagon War Room when the reports started coming in. Military leaders from around the world were sharing the same observations. The aliens are getting weaker, reported General Liu from China. Our forces are noticing increased fatigue in enemy troops. Same here, said General Schmidt from Germany. They're making more mistakes, moving slower. Some of them are actually collapsing from exhaustion. Price studied the global tactical display. The alien invasion was stalling, not because of superior human weapons, but because the aliens couldn't physically handle being on Earth. My God, she whispered. We're not fighting an invasion. We're fighting a species that's slowly being killed by our planet. Dr. Emma Foster made an even more disturbing discovery. The microbiologist was studying alien blood samples when she found something that chilled her to the bone. They have no resistance to Earth diseases, she told her team. None at all. A common cold virus would probably kill them in days. How? Is that possible? Asked her assistant. Their planet must be incredibly sterile. No biological warfare. No major diseases. They never developed the immune systems that we have. Foster looked at the data again. We're walking biological weapons to them. The revelation spread through the human command structure. Earth wasn't just a random planet. It was one of the most hostile environments in the galaxy. And humans were the apex predators that had evolved to survive in it. High Commander Zelenoth arrived with the Zephyrian, reinforcements expecting to find a mop-up operation. Instead, he found Admiral Kefir's fleet in retreat. What is the status of the invasion? Zelenoth demanded. Kefir looked defeated. We've lost 40 ships and thousands of troops. The humans are not what our intelligence reports claimed. Explain. They fight like nothing we've ever encountered. They use their own deaths as weapons. They turn our technology against us. And their planet is killing our soldiers. Zelenoth was confused. The planet? Science Officer Veltar stepped forward. Sir, we've discovered that Earth is classified as a Class 13 Hellworld in the Galactic Database. That's impossible. Class 13 worlds are uninhabitable. Not uninhabitable, sir. They just don't support life as we know it. Class 13 worlds are planetary environments so hostile that they only produce apex predators. The classification assumes no intelligent life could evolve there. Zelenoth felt a chill run through his body. Are you telling me that humans are apex predators? Yes, sir. They evolved in conditions that would kill most galactic species within hours. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme radiation, aggressive microorganisms. What they consider normal would be a death sentence for us. Colonel Dan Morris was leading a special forces operation when he overheard an alien communication. Dr. Sarah. Kim had given his team a translation device built from captured alien technology. Did you hear that? He asked his communications specialist. Yes. Sir, they're calling for immediate evacuation. Something about biological contamination and gravitational stress. Morris smiled grimly. They're not just losing. They're dying just from being here. The psychological effect on the aliens was devastating. They had come to conquer a primitive world and found themselves fighting for their lives against the environment itself. The humans weren't just defending their territory. They were in their natural element. Professor Sarah Kim was working with captured alien computer systems when she made a discovery that changed everything. She had cracked their communication codes and was reading their military reports. My God, she said to Dr. Turner. You need to see this. Turner read the alien files over her shoulder. What am I looking at? Their invasion manual. Look at the section on Earth. Kim pointed to the screen. They list Earth as a Class 13 Hellworld, but they thought the classification was wrong. They believed no intelligent life could survive on a planet that hostile, so they came anyway? They thought the galactic database had made an error. They couldn't believe that intelligent life could evolve in conditions this extreme. Kim scrolled down the file. Look at this. They have a whole section on theoretical Hellworld species, creatures that might evolve on Class 13 planets. Turner read the description and felt his blood go cold. The aliens described theoretical Hellworld species as impossibly aggressive, adapted to extreme survival conditions, capable of using environmental hazards as weapons, and psychologically incapable of surrender. They're describing us, he whispered. It gets worse, Kim continued. Look at their recommendations for dealing with Hellworld species. Turner read the final section. Avoid contact at all costs. If contact is unavoidable, retreat immediately. Hellworld species cannot be reasoned with, conquered, or contained. They exist only to survive and spread. The truth was spreading through both sides of the conflict. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They hadn't invaded a primitive world. They had invaded a planet that bred the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. And those creatures were winning. Dr. Lisa Stone was in an emergency meeting with World leaders when the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. We've been thinking about this wrong, she told the assembled leaders. We're not fighting superior aliens. We're fighting creatures that evolved in easy conditions, trying to survive in the harshest environment they've ever encountered. The president leaned forward. Explain. Earth isn't just our home. It's our weapon. The gravity that makes us strong crushes them. The air that we breathe poisons them. The germs that we live with kill them. We don't need to defeat them. We just need to keep them here long enough for our planet to do it for us. Admiral Kefir was staring at casualty reports when the final truth hit him. His medical officer had just delivered the worst news yet. Sir, we're losing crew members too. Atmospheric poisoning. Earth's oxygen levels are too high for prolonged exposure. The radiation from their sun is damaging our DNA, and the gravitational stress is causing organ failure. Kefir looked at his fleet status. Half his ships were requesting emergency medical evacuation. The other half were reporting equipment failures caused by Earth's mild environmental conditions. He had brought the most powerful invasion force in galactic history to conquer, a Class 13 Hellworld. And the Hellworld was winning without firing a shot. For the first time in Zephyrian military history, an admiral was about to order a full retreat from a primitive planet. But it was too late. The humans had tasted victory, and they wanted more. Ambassador Suresh Patel walked slowly toward the alien landing site under a flag of truce. He was the first human to attempt peaceful contact with the invaders. Behind him, a team of translators and scientists followed nervously. "Are you sure about this?" asked Professor Sarah Kim, carrying her translation device. "No," Patel admitted, "but we need to try talking before we destroy them completely." The aliens had requested the meeting. After 5 days of fighting, they were desperate. Their mighty invasion force was falling apart, and they needed to understand why. The meeting took place in a tent set up between the human and alien lines. When Patel entered, he was shocked by what he saw. The alien commander, Admiral Kefir, looked terrible. His gray skin was pale, and he was breathing heavily. "You are dying," Patel observed. "Yes," Kefir admitted through the translation device. "Your world is killing us slowly. We came here to conquer you, but we cannot even survive on your planet." Dr. Emma Foster, who had come along as a medical advisor, scanned the alien with a handheld device. "His blood oxygen is too high. His bones are showing stress fractures from our gravity. And he's infected with at least 6 different Earth bacteria." "You mean he's sick from being here?" Patel asked. "He's dying from being here. They all are." Kefir nodded weakly. "We need to understand. How do you survive in these conditions? Your planet should not support intelligent life." Professor Kim stepped forward. "We evolved here. This is normal for us." "Normal?" Kefir looked confused. "Your gravity is crushing our bones. Your air is poison to us. Your microorganisms are destroying our immune systems. How can this be normal?" Patel felt a moment of pity for the alien. "Because we're not like you. We're not from a safe world. We're from Earth." Meanwhile, High Commander Zelenoth was dealing with a crisis aboard his flagship. The reinforcement fleet that was supposed to guarantee victory was requesting emergency evacuation. "Sir, we're losing crew members every hour," reported his medical officer. "The planetary environment is more hostile than our worst-case projections." "How bad is it?" Zelenoth asked. 30% of our forces are too sick to fight. Another 40% are showing symptoms of environmental poisoning. If we stay much longer, we'll lose the entire fleet." Zelenoth pulled up the galactic database on his personal computer. He searched for Earth's classification and found it buried in the restricted files. Class 13 Hellworld. The warning was clear. Avoid at all costs. No known species can survive extended exposure to planetary environment. Why wasn't this in our invasion briefing? He demanded. "Sir, the classification was assumed to be an error. No intelligent life has ever been confirmed on a Class 13 world. Until now," Zelenoth said grimly. Colonel Dan Morris was monitoring alien communications when he heard something that made him call an emergency meeting. "Sir, the aliens are sending messages to other worlds," he reported to General Price. "They're broadcasting warnings about humanity." "What kind of warnings?" Morris played the translated transmission. "Warning to all Zephyrian colonies and allied species. Earth designation confirmed as Class 13 Hellworld. Human species confirmed as Apex. Predators. Recommend immediate quarantine of Sol System. Do not attempt contact." General Price felt a chill. "They're telling the galaxy about us. It gets worse, ma'am. They're sending the same warning to species we've never heard of. The message is going out across the entire galactic communication network. Within hours, every advanced civilization in the galaxy was receiving the same terrifying message. Humanity had been discovered, and they were nothing like what anyone expected. On the Altarian homeworld, Chancellor Vexara read the human combat reports with growing horror. They use fire as a weapon, she told her council. Actual combustion. They ram their vehicles into enemy ships to destroy them. They fight until death rather than surrender. Surely this is an exaggeration, said her military advisor. The Zephyrians are requesting emergency evacuation of their entire invasion force. These humans have defeated the most powerful military in the galaxy using primitive weapons and tactics that no civilized species would consider. On Kepler Station, a major trading hub, alien merchants were already changing their shipping routes. To avoid the Sol system, Hellworld species confirmed, announced the station commander. All traffic is advised to maintain minimum 50 light-year distance from Sol system. Dr. Chris Baker was analyzing intercepted alien communications when he made a disturbing discovery. They're not just warning each other about our military, he told his team. They're warning about our biology. What do you mean? Baker played a translated message. Human biology incompatible with standard galactic life forms. Humans carry pathogens lethal to most known species. Human physical capabilities exceed safe parameters for contact. Recommend biological hazard protocols for any human-occupied space. They think we're walking bioweapons, said his assistant. From their perspective, we are. Our normal bacteria would kill them. Our physical strength could hurt them accidentally. Even our breath contains chemicals that are toxic to their species. Captain, Nenia Scott was aboard the first human spacecraft to leave Earth's atmosphere when she intercepted an alien emergency broadcast. What are they saying? She asked her communications officer. It's a general alert to all shipping in this sector. They're warning about a new apex species in the Sol system. They're advising all vessels to avoid this region of space. Scott looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, entire civilizations were learning about humanity for the first time. And they were terrified. Ma'am, her communications officer continued, they're calling us the Hellworld species. It seems to be our official designation in the galactic community. Back on Earth, Ambassador Patel was having a longer conversation with Admiral Kefir. The alien commander was getting weaker, but he was desperate to understand humanity. Your species makes no sense, Kefir said. You laugh during combat. You sacrifice yourselves for strategic advantage. You show no fear of death. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years, Patel explained. War is what we do. It's how we solve problems. But that's insane. Civilized species negotiate. They compromise. They avoid conflict. Professor Kim looked up from her translation device. Maybe that's the difference. You're civilized. We're survivors. Kefir was quiet for a long moment. We have a saying in our culture. Only the mad and the dead know true peace. I think I finally understand what it means. Dr. Foster was treating the alien commander's symptoms when she made another discovery. Admiral, how long have your people been at peace? We achieved galactic harmony over 2,000 years ago. We ended war, disease, and environmental threats. That's why you can't survive here. You've been living in paradise for so long that you've lost the ability to survive in harsh conditions. We've been living in harsh conditions for our entire evolutionary history. The truth was spreading through the galactic community. Earth wasn't just another planet. It was a world so hostile that it had produced the most dangerous species anyone had ever encountered. High Commander Zelenoth was preparing his final report when he received word that other alien species were already changing their behavior based on the human discovery. Sir, the Galactic Trade Council has declared the Sol system off limits to all civilian traffic, reported his communications officer. What about military traffic? They're recommending that all military forces maintain a minimum safe distance of 100 light years. Zelenoth looked at his tactical display. His mighty invasion fleet was retreating from a single planet populated by creatures that shouldn't exist. The final insult came when his science officer delivered one last piece of information. "Sir, I've been analyzing human technological development. It went from primitive aircraft to space travel in less than 70 years. So? Most species take 500 to 1,000 years to make that leap, and they usually do it in peacetime. The humans did it while fighting constant wars with each other." Zelenoth felt something that no Zephyrian commander had felt in centuries. The knowledge that his species was outmatched. The galaxy was about to learn that the age of easy conquest was over. The Hellworld had produced children, and they were coming to the stars. Ambassador Patel ended his meeting with Admiral Kefir on a surprisingly peaceful note. "What will you tell your people about us?" Patel asked. Kefir looked at the human with something like respect. "The truth. That we found a species that we cannot defeat, cannot understand, and cannot ignore. That the galaxy is no longer safe for the weak. And what will we tell our people about you?" Kefir thought for a moment. "That we are the first aliens you have met, but we will not be the last. And that some of us might be worth talking to instead of fighting." Patel smiled. "That sounds like the beginning of something better than war." But even as they spoke, emergency broadcasts were spreading across the galaxy. Every spacefaring civilization was learning the same terrifying truth. Earth was inhabited, and its children were coming to the stars. The age of humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. President Julia Martin sat in the Oval Office, looking at reports that would have seemed impossible just 1 month ago. The alien invasion was over, but the real challenge was just beginning. "Madam President," said Secretary of State Robert Kim, "we have formal surrender offers from 3 alien species. The Zephyrians are offering full reparations and technology sharing. The Altarians want to establish trade relations. And something called the Kepler Trade Federation is asking permission to send ambassadors." Martin rubbed her temples. 1 month ago, we didn't know aliens existed. Now they're all trying to be our friends? "It's more complicated than that," said Admiral Tony Rodriguez, the newly appointed head of Space Force. "They're not trying to be our friends. They're trying to make sure we don't become their enemies." The truth was spreading across the galaxy, faster than anyone had expected. Humanity was the apex predator species that theoretically shouldn't exist. Every alien civilization was scrambling to figure out how to deal with them. Dr. Chris Baker was leading the team that was reverse engineering alien technology. The work was going faster than anyone had imagined possible. "It's incredible," he told President Martin during a video conference. "Their technology is advanced, but it's designed for beings that live in safe environments. It's not built to handle the kind of stress and damage that we consider normal." "What does that mean for us?" Martin asked. "It means we can improve it. Human engineering is designed to survive in hostile conditions. When we combine that with their technology, we get something better than either species had alone." Captain Nina Scott was aboard the newly constructed UFS Terra, humanity's first interstellar vessel. Built in just 3 weeks, using a combination of human engineering and alien technology, it was already more advanced than anything the Zephyrians had. "Captain," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council." "Put it through," Scott ordered. The alien who appeared on screen looked nervous. "Human vessel, this is Counselor Jexara of the Galactic Regulatory Council. We request permission to speak with your leaders." "About what?" Scott asked. "About establishing formal protocols for human expansion into galactic space." Scott smiled. 6 months ago, humans didn't know there was galactic space. Now the aliens wanted to make rules about how humans could use it. I'll pass along your request, she said diplomatically. On the Zephyrian homeworld, the government was in crisis. Admiral Kefir had returned with reports that challenged everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. You're telling us that a single planet defeated our entire invasion force? Asked Supreme Chancellor Mordok. Not defeated, Kefir corrected. Survived. They didn't need to defeat us. Their planet did it for them. Explain. Kefir activated a holographic display showing Earth. This world is classified as a Class 13 Hellworld. We assumed the classification was wrong because intelligent life was detected there. We were wrong about the classification being an error. We were wrong about everything. The Chancellor stared at the display. You're saying this planet naturally produces apex predators? I'm saying this planet only produces apex predators. Nothing else could survive there. The humans aren't just intelligent. They're the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Emma Foster was making discoveries that were changing human understanding of their place in the universe. We're unique, she told a gathering of world leaders. Not just rare, unique. In the entire galactic database, there's no record of any species that evolved in conditions as harsh as Earth's. What does that mean? Asked the British Prime Minister. It means we're the only Hellworld species that ever achieved space travel. Every other intelligent species evolved in safe, controlled environments. They've never had to deal with the kind of challenges that made us strong. General Karen Price was coordinating with her counterparts around the world as they planned humanity's entry into galactic politics. The aliens are scared of us, reported General Liu from China. But they also need us. Need us for what? Price asked. Problem solving. They've received reports of several crisis situations that their civilized approaches can't handle. Pirates, environmental disasters, species conflicts. They want to hire humans as consultants. Price found the irony amusing. They want to hire the apex predators to solve problems that civilized species can't handle. Apparently, our primitive approaches to problem solving are exactly what they need for situations where being civilized doesn't work. Counselor Jexara was addressing the Galactic Council on the human question. Representatives from dozens of species listened nervously as she delivered her report. The humans have agreed to limit their expansion to unpopulated systems for the next 50 years, she announced. In exchange, they want full membership in the Galactic Council and access to our trade networks. 50 years? Exclaimed the Altarian. Representative, that's hardly any time at all. It's the best deal we could get, Jexara replied. The humans were originally planning to explore wherever they wanted. This agreement gives us time to prepare for their presence in galactic society. What if they break the agreement? Jexara looked around the room. Then we hope they remain friendly, because there's nothing we can do to stop them. Captain Ben Clark was leading humanity's first diplomatic mission to an alien world. The planet Kepler 442b was experiencing civil unrest that their peaceful government couldn't handle. Captain, said the alien administrator, we've tried negotiation, economic incentives, and social programs. Nothing has worked. The rebel groups continue to cause problems. Clark studied the situation reports. To human eyes, the civil unrest looked like minor protests and property damage, nothing that required military intervention. Have you tried simply arresting the leaders? He asked. Arresting? That would be aggressive. We don't believe in using force. Clark exchanged glances with his team. No wonder you have problems. You're dealing with people who know you won't fight back. Within a week, Clark's team had helped the local government resolve their civil unrest using techniques that humans considered basic law enforcement. The aliens were amazed. How did you know what to do? The administrator asked. We've been dealing with civil unrest for thousands of years, Clark explained. Sometimes you have to be firm to keep the peace. President Martin was in another meeting about humanity's role in galactic society when she received an unexpected request. "Madam President," said Ambassador Patel, "the Galactic Council wants us to mediate a territorial dispute between two alien species. Why us? Because both sides are afraid of us. They think we'll be impartial because we're too dangerous to bribe or threaten." Martin found herself laughing. 6 months ago, we were alone in the universe. Now we're the galaxy's police. Force, not police, Patel corrected. More like the adults that everyone calls when the children can't solve their problems. Dr. Baker was in his lab when he made a discovery that changed everything. He had been studying alien medical technology when he noticed something strange. There. Medical science is incredibly advanced, he told his team. But it's all designed to treat diseases and injuries that would be minor problems for humans. What do you mean? They have amazing treatments for genetic disorders, age-related diseases, and environmental adaptation problems. But they have no trauma medicine, no emergency surgery, no treatments for massive injuries. His assistant understood immediately. Because they've never needed it. They don't fight wars. They don't have dangerous environments. They've never had to develop medicine for people who are actively trying to kill each other. Exactly. And now they want our medical knowledge for dealing with extreme trauma and survival situations. The galaxy was adapting to humanity's presence in unexpected ways. Species that had lived in peace for millennia were hiring human military advisors. Civilizations that had never seen war were asking for human security consultants. Admiral Rodriguez was overseeing the construction of humanity's first space fleet when he received a priority message from the Galactic Council. "Admiral," said Counselor Jexara, "we have a situation that requires human intervention." "What kind of situation?" "A species called the Void Hunters has been attacking trade routes. They ignore all diplomatic overtures and seem to exist only to raid and destroy. Our peacekeeping forces are ineffective against them." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "And you want us to deal with them?" "The Council is prepared to offer significant compensation for human assistance in this matter. Let me guess. These Void Hunters use tactics that civilized species consider unacceptable?" "How did you know?" "Because that's usually why you call us." Captain Scott was commanding the human fleet sent to deal with the Void Hunter problem when she realized something important. "They're not evil," she told her crew. "They're just operating by different rules than the other aliens." "What do you mean, Captain?" asked her first officer. "Look at their tactics. Hit-and-run attacks, avoiding direct confrontation, targeting supply lines instead of military assets. They're using guerrilla warfare, like humans do?" "Exactly like humans do. The other aliens can't handle them because they don't understand asymmetric warfare, but we invented it." The confrontation with the Void Hunters lasted exactly 6 hours. Scott's fleet used human tactics to outmaneuver the raiders.